Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Well, maybe it's not over like I thought it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am not convinced yet, but I will take every Mets W for as much as I can take it for, as a grain of salt, if you will, where the Mets today start this game trailing. Well, actually beginning the game with a leadoff home run from Francisco Lindor to make it 1-0. They don't capitalize on that in the first. All of a sudden, it's 2-1, then it's 4-1, then it's 6-1 Cubs, and the Mets formulate a 6-1 comeback, a 5-run comeback, the largest that they have had this season, to win tonight's game against the Chicago Cubs. Simultaneously, while the Reds are losing their games to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Mets are back in the third wild card spot against Cincinnati. And you never know, man. You never freaking know. The Mets might maybe, just maybe be able to pull it off. But again, I am holding out hope because I'm a Mets fan. I have the scars to show it. They're all over my arms. Lots of bad times as a Mets fan, but here we are. The Mets, as of this moment right now, are leading the final wild card spot in the National League by 1 game, despite 2 errors from Jeff McNeil in the 4th inning. Besides trailing in this game 6-1, they make a miraculous comeback, and we will just see what happens. But guys, what is up? How's it going? Appreciate you tuning in. I am Tony Metro. Welcome to the stream. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every single Mets game, daily Mets content, like I said. And you can also follow me on all the other platforms down below: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. All the links to those are in the bio, in the description below. What is up, guys? Let's go to the chat. A lot of the regulars are here. Garang Dang, Musicum, Michael Lee. What's up, guys? Appreciate you being here. Garang Dang says, I know why you ain't streamed yesterday. You must, dude, Mike. You have no idea. Garang Dang says, I know why you weren't streaming yesterday. Yes, because I was crashing out. It was also my birthday yesterday, and I'm not asking for birthday greetings. I'm just saying I couldn't do it yesterday. I couldn't. On my day, on my birthday, I could not do it with the Mets giving me as much pain as they have given me over all of the years here, my 30 years on this earth. But yes, I am here. Garang Dang, what is up, my man? Musicum says, oh, you retracted that one. Michael S. Lee, Diaz, so money. What a performance from Edwin Diaz there in the 8th and the 9th inning. 6-out save from Edwin Diaz. Wow. Unbelievable job by Edwin Diaz. Just fastballs up in the zone, sliders, doesn't matter, lefties, righties. What a performance from Edwin Diaz. This guy knows that he is trying to get paid next season. What a job by the Mets closer, Edwin Diaz. Wow, really, really impressive. Let's see. Garang Dang says, fantastic game. I'm filled with joy. Diaz was not playing. Yeah, no, he was not. That was unbelievable. Garang Dang, thank you for being here. But yeah, like you said before you retracted your statement, yes, I was not going to do a Mets post-game recap on Sunday after they lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. Was just too much for me, and I'm sorry, guys, but here I am right now. Try to be here all the time for you guys. Some days can't make it, and Sunday specifically, like I said, with my birthday and with the Mets losing 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, was not a good day for me, but glad that we could be here today. Francisco Alvarez with the big go-ahead game-winning home run in this game. Again, guys, like I said, a game that the Mets had trailed 6-1, had no business winning. Another horrible performance from David Peterson, but the Mets somehow find a way to come back and claw back into this game and win it off the Cubs, who, like, let's be honest, guys, we know the Cubs have nothing to play for right now. They have already kind of claimed their spot in the playoffs. They clinched the playoff position a couple days ago. They really can't move in terms of the first wildcard spot or the second wildcard spot. The Padres are a couple games behind them. Obviously, the Mets and the Reds are fighting out for the final wildcard spot in the National League. But the Cubs have really nothing to play for. And they got swept 4 games against Cincinnati this past weekend. They came out like they didn't care. Their hair was on fire today against the Mets. They come out, Mets get the first run, the leadoff home run from Francisco Lindor to make it 1-0. They don't capitalize on that next base hit from Juan Soto. But then after that, the Cubs, just went completely blitz. Make it a 4-1 game. Make it a 5-6-1 game. Couple errors from Jeff McNeil. But the Mets able to come back and tie this game. It starts with that Pete Alonso RBI single off the right field fence. And you're thinking, oh my God, that is the most Mets thing of all time. It hits off the fence instead of going into the basket at Wrigley Field like it so often does. Like if it was a summertime game, that ball is 100% a homer for Pete Alonso. And then they make the pitcher change. But Brandon Nimmo off the lefty, Taylor Rogers, the twin of Tyler. Yeah, so it must have been Taylor Rogers giving up the game tying 3-run homer to Brandon Nimmo. And then later, Francisco Lindor with the base hit up the middle. And then it was the Mets version of Rogers giving up the game tying hit up the middle to make it 7-7. Finally, Francisco Alvarez with the game 2-run home run to make it 9-7, and Edwin Diaz did the rest. So here we are. The Mets are in third place for the final wild card spot, and we will see what happens. I am trying to keep optimistic, guys, as you can tell by the tone of my voice, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just released a video today about which would be the worst collapse in New York Mets history. 2007, 2008, or this season here in 2025. I still believe it's 2007, just because they lost that season to the Phillies in the National League East. But sound off in the chat, which would be the worst to you guys? And guys, definitely be sure to leave this video a like while you're watching this video. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's go back to the chat. Mark Rapp, yeah, let's go Mets. Oh, Peterson is still garbage. Not a good start for David Peterson at all. The Mets hand David Peterson a 1-0 lead. They don't capitalize in that first inning, like I said, and then David Peterson does what David Peterson has done so often here in the second half, just completely meltdown. But let's not forget, Juan Soto should have caught that ball. Juan Soto 100% should have caught that fly ball in right field with 2 outs, and that ends up charging Peterson with 2 runs. He doesn't touch it, so it does not go down as an error. But let's be honest, yeah, definitely should have been caught for a fly out, and unfortunately it becomes a 2-run first inning for David Peterson. But that is basically how it has been for the New York Mets here in 2025. Musicum says, then my friend messaged me. I appreciate it. David Diaz, Alvarez and Diaz clutch. Huge games for Alvarez and Diaz. Obviously, Alvi with the go-ahead game-winning home run, the 2-run shot into left center field, and then Diaz getting the final 6 outs of this game. And you know what? Carlos Mendoza is not messing around. There's no more messing around. The Mets have to win every single game the rest of the way. And we have been saying that for months now, based on how the Mets have been playing. And finally, it seems like the manager has caught on to that. And this is where we are. And finally, Edwin Diaz summoned for the 8th, for the 9th, and has a flawless 8th and 9th inning in these 2 final games. So thank God, because the Mets are playing with, no room for error, no margin for error. The Reds, fortunately, somehow lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, maybe the Pirates aren't that bad because they swept us out in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago. And then meanwhile, the Cubs got swept in 4 games against the Reds this past weekend. So I don't know, maybe. But Joe says, Peterson, the new McGill. Yeah, that is a good way to put it, Joe. It seems like Peterson is the new McGill, where it's like, you can't possibly imagine it's going to get any worse. And then he makes it get much, much worse. Yeah. So that is what Tyler McGill used to do for the Mets, and now that is what it seems to be with David Peterson. I think it's got to be something to do with the innings limit. He's at 160 plus innings now, way more than he has ever thrown in a single season. Last year did 120. That was a single season high for him. And now I believe that it is just a law of attrition that he is just really suffering because he's thrown way more innings than he ever has in his career. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to get this camera right here. Hopefully this is good. Yeah, can you guys all see me? Okay, perfect. Let's see. Michael Leslie, LOL, Braves just knocking the Nats around like their little brother. So how about the Braves? 10 games in a row, 10 wins in a row for the Atlanta Braves. Unfortunately, their season is done. They are out of the playoff picture. They've been eliminated from the NL playoff race, but oh, well, we won't, shed any tears for the Atlanta Braves, but would have been nice if they could help us out a little bit against some of the other teams that the Mets had been playing earlier this year. Garang ding. First time I've seen this team fight back in a while. Yeah, so guys, this is the biggest comeback that the Mets have had in 2025. So 5-run deficit. Biggest comeback that the Mets have had this season. So it's been a little while, probably since 2024, really. I mean, I don't know if they had a comeback of 5 runs or more in 2024. I would assume that they did. But yes, finally, we saw a little bit of comeback. I think most of us probably said they're not going to win this game, wrote them off after they fell behind 6-1, just the way that they have so many times this year, especially after losing 2 out of 3 to the Nationals this past weekend. But here they are winning this game against the Cubs, winning this game on a super important night because the Reds also lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So really big win for the New York Mets. Guys, leave this video a like. Appreciate y'all so much for being here. Let me go back to the chat. Kev Chad, if we don't make the playoffs, this would be the worst collapse in Mets history. $300 million payroll. 2007 Philly had Hall of Famers on the team. Yeah, well, 2007 Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. Yes, I agree. But that was different. 7.5 game lead with 17 games to go. I mean, I can't put it past the 2007 Mets. That, in my opinion, worst collapse in New York Mets history. I could be wrong about it. I made a video about it today. I stand by that. How you could below that and to your division rival, and I get it. Now there are 6 teams that make the playoffs in, 2024, 2025. I just, for me, I can't put it past the 2007 Mets for blowing the lead that they did. And because it ran into the blown playoff situation in 2008, Willie Randolph getting fired, and then they blew up that entire core. Andy Chavez, David Wright, of course, he ended up signing the extension with the Mets. Jose Reyes would eventually go on and sign with the Marlins. Carlos Beltran was traded for Zach Wheeler. That didn't work out. So for me, 2007 is the worst season or worst collapse in New York Mets history. But I understand what you're saying, Kev Chada. Garang Dang says, I feel like this was a slow, painful death versus a sudden shock. Yeah, no, in terms of the collapses, yeah, this was like a very slow, kind of terrible march procession, if you will, to the funeral that is the 2025 Mets. I was saying that this entire morning. I made videos about it here on my YouTube channel, that this is the worst that has ever been for the New York Mets. We'll see what happens. They might still make the playoffs. At this point, if the season ended today, the Mets would make the playoffs, and then it's hard to hold against them. I don't have a high hopes that the Mets are going to go far into the playoffs here in 2025 as I adjust my camera. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get my ring light here up, and hopefully that's is that good? Is that better? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, maybe. Okay, there we go. But we'll see what happens. Right now, I am I'm not very hopeful about this 2025 team. I think the pitching is terrible. I think they got fortunate to play against a team that has nothing to play for in the Chicago Cubs tonight, and we'll see what happens. But there's talent on paper, and we'll just see what happens here. But guys, sound off in the chat. How do you feel about this team? Do you think that they're going to make the playoffs here in 2025? As again, I try to adjust my camera. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying my best here. Unfortunately, yeah, it's not going so well. So let me just fix this. Oh. Okay. We're back. Yeah. No. Not going so well. Okay. All right, here we are. Anyway, guys, big win for the Mets. We'll see what happens here. They got 2 more with the Cubs. Cincinnati has got 2 more with the Pirates, who are probably not pushovers as much as we would like to believe. I mean, we should know it firsthand. Barely won 2 out of 3 at Citi Field and then got swept in Pittsburgh against the Pirates back in early July. So we'll see what happens there. But for tonight, the Mets are in a playoff spot. If the season ended today, the Mets would be in the 3rd wild card spot. So we'll see what happens, but it's a good day for the Mets. They come back from down 6-1 in this one against Chicago. The Reds end up losing this one, and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to end it here. I am so sorry, guys. I'm having some difficulties with the camera here, so I just want to keep it really short, but appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. And we'll be back with another post-game recap after tomorrow's game 2 of the series. Mets, Cubs with Jonah Tong on the mound. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And we'll see you then. Until then, though, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.